Hello and welcome to Sports Around the World. I am Austin Arome. Here are the top stories for today. Kelechi Iheanacho complains of fixture congestion as playing in the Premier League and Europa League every week begins to take its toll. Zlatan Ibrahimovic set to return from international retirement to play for Sweden again. Court of Arbitration for Sport entertains Russia appeal against 4-year ban from all international sports competitions. Organizers not ruling out postponing the French Open next year should the COVID-19 pandemic persists. Moving on to the stories now. In football, Leicester City's Nigerian striker Kelechi Iheanacho has confessed the fixture congestion is taking its toll on the Leicester City players. According to Iheanacho, the players are sometimes tired with matches coming thick and fast, and he highlighted the benefit of playing on Monday. In the last Premier League fixture, Leicester City defied the odds and registered a 1-0 win against Arsenal at the Emirates Stadium, but Iheanacho did not taste action. Iheanacho impressed in his last appearance against Leeds back in 2017-2018 season, scoring and providing an assist in a 3-1 win for Leicester City. Moving on to our next story, Anambra State Football Association elections were held on Friday with some interesting outcome. Despite running as an unopposed candidate for the chairmanship position, Shikelu Ilionosi still lost. Ilionosi recorded 1 good vote and 19 bad votes against out of 20 votes cast. The hitch-free election took place at the Catholic Pastoral Retreat Center Okuno, Oka in Anambra State under the supervision of the NFF legal officer Joshua Onoja. Victor Anikwena was elected the vice chairman of the Anambra State Football Association Board with a landslide victory, polling a total of 19 votes as against 0 votes for his opponent and former NFF presidential candidate Chinedu Okoye. Veteran broadcast sport journalist and commentator Ralph Shidoze, junior international and former Enugu Rangers player Oliver Ndigwe, and retired women's referee and administrator Cordelia Akana were elected board members. With the chairman's seats and that of 4 other board members still vacant, a by-election will be conducted in due course to fill the positions. Still in football, La Liga giant Barcelona are at risk of bankruptcy unless the club can agree a fresh round of pay cuts, according to reports. Stars of the Catalan club already accepted a wage decrease, said to be as much as 17% in the spring amid the onset of the coronavirus pandemic. But the club's finances continue to spiral out of control, with losses of over 88 million euros announced early in October. Debt level hits 443 million euros, with revenue down by 122.5 million euros, leaving the Spanish side light years from the pre-pandemic boast of topping 1 billion euros in annual income. The situation has drawn the club back to the negotiation table with a fresh round of pay cuts forecasts. According to reports, Barcelona have until Thursday to reach a settlement. Unless they can cut 171 million euros from their wage bill, the 5-time Champions League winner reportedly risks having to file for bankruptcy. Still in football, Everton manager Carlo Ancelotti says Jordan Pickford will return for the club's next Premier League match against Manchester United. The England goalkeeper was dropped for Sunday's 2-1 defeat at Newcastle as Robin Olsen took his place. While the Swedish international performed well, Ancelotti says it has not complicated selection matters. Olsen, 30, arrived at Goodison Park on a season-long loan from Roma in October, with Pickford placed in the club starting 11 coming under scrutiny. Since the beginning of the 2019-2020 season, he has made 5 errors which have led to goal, which is joint of any top flight goalkeeper alongside Newcastle Martin Dubravka. Let's go on a short break, and when we come back, we have more for you. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It's still sports around the world on Grand Sports Extra. Now, talking Olympics, Russia's appeal against its 4-year ban from all major sporting events will be heard by the Court of Arbitration for Sport from Monday. In December 2019, Russia Anti-Doping Agency was declared non-compliant for manipulating laboratory data handed over to investigators the previous January. The World Anti-Doping Agency had controversially reinstated Russia in 2018 after a 3-year suspension for its vast state-sponsored doping scandal. But WADA Executive Committee made the unanimous decision to impose a ban which bars Russia from competing in Tokyo Olympics and Paralympics, set to be held next year, and Football 2022 World Cup in Qatar. The appeal hearing, which is not open to public, is scheduled to take place at an undisclosed venue in Lausanne, Switzerland until Thursday. A decision will be announced at a later date. A total of 168 Russian athletes competed under a neutral flag at the 2018 Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang. Russia had been banned from competing as a nation in athletics since 2015. The final decision in the punishment now rests with Court of Arbitration for Sport, whose ruling on this matter will be binding. Moving on to Formula One, Lewis Hamilton moved to the brink of a 7th world title with victory in the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. A 1-2 for Mercedes with Valtteri Bottas second sealed a 7th consecutive Constructors' Championship. In the drivers' title chase, Hamilton is 85 points clear of Bottas, who was promoted to second when Red Bull's Max Verstappen suffered a puncture. Hamilton will win the title at the next race as long as Bottas does not outscore him by more than 7 points. Williams driver George Russell was on target to score his first F1 point, but the Briton crashed while trying to warm his tires behind the safety cars. Hamilton's victory at the Imola, leading teammate Bottas across the line, sealed a record 7th consecutive Constructors' Championship for Mercedes, surpassing the achievement set by Ferrari between 1999 and 2005. Moving on to our next story, in tennis, world number 1 Novak Djokovic suffered a shock defeat by Italy's Lorenzo Sonego in the quarterfinals of the Vienna Open. The Serb was beaten 6-2, 6-1 by world number 42, who only came into the tournament as a lucky loser. Sonego will face Dan Evans in the semi-finals after the Briton outlasted Bulgarian Grigor Dimitrov. Evans showed plenty of determination to come through 7-6, 4-6, 6-2 in 2 hours and 42 minutes. Sonego lost to Alias Bendin in the final round of the qualifying but earned a spot in the main tournament after the withdrawal of Diego Schwartzman. It is the first time the Djokovic has ever been beaten by a lucky loser. It also means he will have to wait little longer before he completes the formality of equaling Pete Sampras' all-time record of ending the season top of the ranking for a sixth time. In golf, the World Handicap System devised by sport ruling bodies, the RA and the United States Golf Association, is being described as a seismic change to how the club game is administered. It was launched last January, and from Monday 2nd November it's being used in Britain for the first time. Every club golfer is affected by changes, which means that when it's again permissible, they can play any course in world with correct handicap allowance for their playing ability. Under the new system, the best 8 scores from a player's last 20 competitive rounds provide the basis of their handicap index. Separately, the difficulty of golf courses for scratch and bogey golfers has been assessed. This gives each course a gender-specific rating known as a slope index for each set of tees, multiplying the handicap index by the course rating and dividing by a base measurement of 113 crates, a playing handicap. Let's go on a short break, and when we come back, we have more stories for you. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back. Alright, welcome back. It's still sports around the world on Grand Sport Extra. Let's continue with our stories now. In football, Bayern Munich have withdrawn their offer of contract extension to David Alaba, according to reports. Alaba, 28, is out of contract next summer and is set to leave the Bavarian on a free transfer. The versatile defender has made almost 400 appearances for Bayern and won 17 major honors since making his debut at the Allianz Arena in 2010. Bayern had hoped Alaba would extend its stay after he helped the club to the treble last season. But any hope of the versatile defender penning a new deal appears to be gone, as Heiner confirmed the offer is no longer on the table. Still in football, the Premier League chiefs are under pressure to end the current pay-per-view scheme as England prepares to enter a second lockdown. According to reports, the top flight bosses are meeting this week after fans called for a £14.95 fee to watch a certain match be scrapped. However, the country is about to enter another lockdown period. The government could intervene like they did for the Project Restart, where every match was shown on television. Premier League clubs are set to review the pay-per-view policy, and the scheme is likely to change after November's international break. Still in football, Zlatan Ibrahimovic has hinted that he is set to come out of international retirement to play for Sweden. The 39-year-old, who is Sweden's all-time leading scorer with 62 goals in 116 games, hasn't played for his country since Euro 2016. However, in the midst of one of his best ever start to a season, he could now be set for a remarkable return. A day after scoring a superb overhead kick to help AC Milan beat Udinese, he posted a picture on Twitter of himself in a Sweden shirt and the words, "Long time no see." Ibrahimovic has scored in every Serie A game for AC Milan so far this season and is the top scorer in the league with 7 goals. He has also been involved in 10 goals in 7 games across all competitions. Sweden next played Denmark in a friendly on November 11th before Nations League games against Croatia and France. Moving on to our next story, still talking football, Mick McCarthy has been appointed head coach of Hapoel Nicosia. McCarthy, a former Ireland international, twice coached Republic of Ireland as well as Sunderland, Wolverhampton Wanderers and Ipswich. He left Ireland in the summer and hasn't coached a club at club level since departing from Ipswich at the end of 2018 season. McCarthy's assistant Terry Connor has also been brought in, according to a statement from the club. Hapoel, the Ireland's most successful club, are currently in are currently in 10th place in the Cyprus First Division with 2 wins from 8 matches after a poor start to the season. Let's take another short break, and when we come back, we'll continue with our stories. Welcome back. It's still sports around the world on Grand Sports Extra. Moving on to our next story in athletics. Mo Farah preparation for the rescheduled 2020 Olympics next summer could be hampered by a rumored appearance on a reality TV show, says UK Athletics. According to reports in the UK media, Farah is set to go into isolation this week so he can join the cast of the ITV show before traveling to Greenwich Castle, North Wales, where the last series is being filmed next month. The report also suggests Farah has accepted a £300,000 fee to appear in the show, but the UK Athletics are more concerned about how it will affect his training. Farah will join a long list of athletes who took part in the show. Former sprinter Linford Christie, who took home an Olympic gold medal in 100 meters in 1992, took part in 2010. Moving on to the next story in rugby, England head coach Simon Middleton urged the other union to support the women's game so it will one day see a Super Saturday like the men after his side won back-to-back Grand Slams. The Red Roses, the only professional women's Six Nations team, won the tournament with a game to spare. But Middleton hoped one day the women's competition can emulate the men with multiple teams going for the title on the final day. England dominated the tournament, winning with a point difference of 199. Moving on to our next story in tennis, the French Open could be moved again in 2021 if the COVID-19 pandemic demands it. According to tournament director Guy Forget, the French Tennis Federation drew criticism in the mid-March when it unilaterally moved the French Open to end of September from its scheduled May start amid coronavirus pandemic, placing it in the middle of the hard-court season. This year's Wimbledon was cancelled for the first time since World War II due to the pandemic, but the US Open and French Open were successfully staged amidst restricted environments and strict health protocols. Moving on to our next story in cycling, the 2021 Tour de France will feature a double ascent of iconic Mount Ventoux. Organizers have announced. The grueling climb will feature twice on stage 11 with riders starting on the easiest of the 3 sites at Salt, 26 km at an average gradient of 4.6%, then tackling its hardest side from Bendroin 21 kilometer at 7.5%. The 2021 route also features 2 individual time trials in the opening week, and on the penultimate day, another iconic climb on stage 18 up Corps du Tourmet. There is also the longest stage in 20 years, as the peloton travels over 248 kilometers from Vaison to Le Creusot on stage 7. In 2021, I beg your pardon. Let's take another short break, and when we come back, we have more stories for you. Don't go. Welcome back. It's still sports around the world on Grande Sports Extra. Now, to round up now with our final story, in rugby, Castle Tigers' next 2 Super League matches have been cancelled after 4 more players tested positive to COVID-19. Games against Leeds Rhinos on Friday and Salford Red Devils next Monday have been called off. It comes after the club's game with Huddersfield Giants, scheduled for last Friday, was cancelled after 13 players tested positive for the illness. 2 more rounds of testing are due to be undertaken at Castleford this week. The Rugby Football League Multiple Cases Group has extended the shutdown of the club in respect to the new positive cases. The Rugby Football League will not make a decision on whether the club's final scheduled game of the season with Wakefield Trinity on 12th of November will go ahead next week until more test result comes out. That's how much we can take on sport around the world for today. Join us tomorrow. I remain Austin Arome. God bless you, and continue to watch Grande Sports Extra.